We are.
Okay, probably take a few minutes for people to come in. But so you're what temperature is it over there? I'm at 67.
It was 32 when I woke up this morning, and right now it's in the 40s. It was nice and sunny when I walked to the bus stop. So it's, we have freezing temperatures in the morning, and then you got to take your sweater off by the afternoon.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
We have some visitors.
Hey, I can't see any. Hopefully they can see us.
Yeah. Just jump in the comments, say hello. If you have any questions, go ahead and post them. Lauren the Rabbit, welcome. Can you see these two, Mitzi?
I can't see the comments. I don't know why.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's just a me thing. Hello, Terry. How do I show them? Okay, I am trying Restream. Okay, do you have like controls on your right side, Mitzi, and one that down on the bottom it says chat?
I see one that says private chat.
Weird. Try clicking on that and see what happens.
Yeah, type a message and I just wrote test.
Okay, yeah, that's just for me. Only I can see that.
Okay.
Hello, Betsy. That sucks. You can. Oh, okay, there it is. I can show that now. Okay, there. Yay, I found it.
Yep, I see it. Click on them to showcase on stream. Okay, well, I can see that, but I can't see any comments on the side. Okay. Ooh, look at that. All right. Hey, Lauren. Lauren the Rabbit. Is that because you've been spending too much time going down rabbit holes, Lauren?
I know, I've been spending a lot of time in rabbit holes.
Yep. Oh, see my earrings today?
Oh, pretty. Is that the hand of Hosma or
Yes.
Fatima?
Yes.
Nice.
See.
Very cute.
Yeah, with my birthstone. Okay.
Oh, okay. Her last name is Hare.
Oh, got it. Okay. I like
So
that.
how's everybody's Friday going? It's Friday, right? Yeah, it's Friday. For a minute there, I thought it was Saturday. Hello, Worthy.
So we're.
Oh, go ahead.
So Worthy, where are you? Where it's evening right now?
So yeah, me and Mitzi were talking about the warning that's going to go on meat soon and what might happen. I said that I was fully ready to go out and live in the forest and hunt my own food because I am not eating plants and I'm not eating processed food.
No, I can't imagine putting the food back into the foods that made me sick, putting those foods back into my body now that I know how good I can feel when I eat, meat and selected vegetables. Protein is so important to prioritize protein, especially at our age, because I read something that said when you're in your 30s and 40s, you should really prioritize gaining as much muscle as possible because it will sustain you as you age. So and when you think about it, I mean, that's what younger kids did. They played and they were athletic and they did have muscle going into, as they aged. And now I don't even know that. I mean, what percentage of kids participate in athletics anymore? Unless we proactively do it now, I mean, it's not just going to magically happen, as far as like building the protein, building the muscle. I mean, not the protein. Well, it is protein, but building the muscle.
Welcome, Tim. Canada. I have some friends in Canada, and my husband's actually currently driving in there right now.
Mm.
You guys already have snow.
Mhm.
But you also have the northern lights, which I'm kind of jealous of. He gets to have that view every night while he's driving.
Well, and and don't they have much shorter days too when the
I'm not
northern
sure where
lights
that
are?
occurs.
Mm. Tell us, Tim. Is the trade-off for the beautiful northern lights a shorter day? Like,
Vancouver Island.
okay.
I don't know where that is. Gotta bust out a map.
Yeah, Americans are showing our geographic ignorance because, like, we didn't learn geography in school. I mean, we didn't. There was no concerted effort for me to learn geography.
Yeah, all I know is my husband is in the area of Canada that's right above Washington State.
Mhm.
So he goes through there and then to get to Alaska. So
I think that's British Columbia? I don't know. Vancouver? I don't know. I'm guessing. I mean, honestly, showing my geographical USA geographical ignorance. Um, shortage F days are at the equator. Huh? No, no.
are you referring to when they have like 40 days of sunlight where the sun doesn't go down?
N- No, I'm talking about, well, in parts of Alaska, the sun goes down and doesn't come up for like 3 months. That's what I'm talking about. And then they have extended days, like in the summer when you go to Alaska, 11 o'clock at night and the sun's still out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. At least that's what I experienced in July. I was on a cruise ship, and if you didn't have the blackout shades, I was glad that I had an interior cabin so I could sleep. But, it's 11 o'clock at night and the sun's still up.
There we go. Days are longer and shorter further north because of the tilt of the earth and the
Yeah.
season. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, guys, you guys got any questions? We have two coaches today. Two's always better than one.
Mhm.
Now, do you have a YouTube, Mitzi?
I do. I'm sharing it to that, but it's private. But, I guess it'll be in there and then I can post it if I wanted to later somewhere else.
Well, if you're going to use a streaming service, this is the first time I'm using Restream, and I think Nisha is right. I like it better.
Well, I mean, I have nothing to compare to, so maybe I won't have to go through the pain. Yeah,
He's nowhere near the North Pole, so I'm assuming that's where it occurs.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, when the sun goes down and doesn't come back for months. Yeah, that's way, way, way north in Antarctica, I think. No questions really.
And Anita just popped in. Hello.
Hey, so Bob, yes, they're great. Bone broth has great medicinal value when you are recovering from a virus or anything like that. The real homemade bone broth, not the broth that you buy from Walmart. That's not real bone broth. You really got to make it yourself or do what's it called? Kettle and Fire or something. It's kind of pricey and expensive, but I guess you could have the Kettle and Fire on hand for times when you're caught short and you don't have time to make bone broth. Um, hmm.
I like Bonafide. Bonafide is is good. You find it in the freezer section. It'll come in a bag. When you start to thaw it out to heat it up, it's very gelatinous and thick. I really like that. So that's the one that I use. And we have a question. Talk
Yeah.
about hormonal changes in your 40s, 50s, and beyond affect what and how much a person should eat. Well, I'll do 40s and then you can hit after that because you're a little more mature than I am. Uh, so for right now, I know that I'm premenopausal. My my cycles are starting to get a little wonky. What I did notice when I was sad diet and plant diet was that I was getting hot flashes. Not all the time, but enough to notice them. But since being carnivore, I no longer have hot flashes. So there's a plus. What happens beyond that, I don't know. So we'll let Mitzi take that one.
Okay, so there's a lot of there are a lot of influencers in this space that will tell you that men and women need to fast and to eat differently. There are some that are highly respected in this space that will actually tell you that women need to eat more carbs during certain times of the month and that women should carb cycle and all of that. And I don't agree with that, and I also don't agree that like the hormonal changes that are taking place should when you're eating a proper human diet, there's less fluctuation and less intensity with the hormonal changes. And I will give you an example. I didn't know that I was in menopause until I had a blood test. Like I had stopped cycling. So obviously I was like, well, I mean, I do have a degree in biology, so I can, but I didn't know for sure because I would not have a period for a while and then, here we go again. So I had no reason to believe that that wouldn't happen again. So it wasn't until it was confirmed with the blood test that I was menopausal now. I'm done. I'm through with it. And I had none of the expected things that you hear about. Didn't have any of the cliche hot flash, mood swing, craziness, like, "Oh, I wanna kill my family," type thing, nothing like that. So I believe that the proper human diet and eating low carb and being in ketosis helped with that. Now, as far as telling you how much you need to eat and all of that, like, once you become metabolically healthy, you will notice very clearly during your cycles, if you are still cycling, that you will want more food and have an increased appetite prior to ovulation and, prior to the beginning of your cycle, which makes sense because that would be your body's preparation for potentially creating and making a new human. So it makes sense that you would want more food in preparation for that. Um, and the human body is not designed ignorantly. There's a reason why things happen in our body. What we have done in our modern society is we've screwed up some of the normal patterns by eating edible food-like substances, living in a constant state of stress, never allowing our bodies to like never being cold and hot. Like, we live at 72 degrees all the time. We don't have extreme heat swings and stuff like that. So our body doesn't necessarily our genetics, our environment betrays our genetics. So as far as the hormonal changes that are happening, yes, they are going to happen. I don't believe that you need to buy into anything like, oh, women need to eat a special way, or women need to eat a special food, or women need, because this is the story I like to tell. Do you really think that the hunter gatherers are walking across the savannah and one of them looks at the other and says, "Oh, Betsy over there is about to start her period. We need to stop and dig up some tubers for her."
I love it. Yeah.
It's like, "No, you get a bone to gnaw on just like everybody else. Let's go."
Yeah.
And if that were the case, then all of these women who weren't getting their carbs would have died out, right? So, listen to your body. That's first and foremost. And I do believe as you get older, I had this conversation with Mary Roberts, who's also a health coach. I think the longer that you stay keto, and I had this conversation with Stephen Phinney, Dr. Stephen Phinney. I asked him this question. I said, "Do you think that the longer you are in low carb and following a ketogenic diet, that you become more efficient at processing the nutrition from the food that you do eat?" And he said, "Yes, I do." Now, he couldn't prove it, but he suspected that you do. So then I think that your appetite adjusts. Like today, I only had 3 eggs. Some days I want 4. Today I just said, "Oh, 3 is good."
Yep.
So I've chatted enough about that. I'm sure that's more than you wanted to hear. Sorry.
No, not at all, because I completely agree with that. And I remember when I read the book Fast Like a Girl, because I was at the beginning of my carnivore journey, and I thought, well, maybe there's some info in here that I could really use to help me balance out my hormones and everything. And I started reading it, and just my intuition was going off, and I was like, I am not eating sweet potatoes. One, they're really high in oxalates. Two, I'm not interested in eating any plants. And then there was the suggestion of broccoli too, which is a goitrogen. It can mess with your thyroid. And I was like, I'm not eating that either.
Right.
And what I started noticing, because I was keeping a journal, was I just got a little bit more hungry. So I just ate more meat and
Mhm.
more butter, and I was perfectly fine. And then, my hot flashes started going away, my cycle regulated, and so yeah, I completely agree with you. You do not need plants. Um, I I think you just need to do what feels good to your body, and you might notice that your appetite increases. It might not, but just go with that. Eat when you're hungry, eat till you're full. If you follow that, like she said, you'll be hungrier sometimes more than others. So, but
And yeah, and I eat 2 times a day, and I would be just fine with 1 time a day because it's just more efficient to eat once a day. I mean, unless you have a reason, like I feed myself. I do have a family in my house, but they cook and do their own meals. But, you know, eat when you're hungry and stop when you're full, and 1 meal, 2 meals. I think 3 is probably pushing it, and that's just I think after a while, the longer you stay on carnivore or proper human diet, I think 2 meals a day is sufficient for most people.
no.
Right.
Worthy would like to know if we have any duck recipes. I'm just going to go ahead and say no, because like I have said in other lives, I'm a very boring eater. I eat my steak, I eat my eggs, and I eat my butter, and that's it.
Uh, no, I've cooked a duck one time, and I just cooked it like a chicken in the oven, and duck is very, very greasy. So so I saved the drippings and used that to kinda, like, dip the meat in it, like, I didn't make any gravy or anything like that out of it, but I enjoy duck. I think it's pretty simple, just make it like chicken, just make it like you would chicken. Um, I'm sorry, I'm like tea, I just, like, cook meat and eat it. So,
Yeah,
okay.
keep it simple.
Okay, postpartum question. I can I feel like I can probably give it a swing.
Yeah, we had babies.
Yeah.
What's your question? Let's see, it's probably going to be down here. I believe this is it. Started having trouble 3 months postpartum, panic attacks, terrible anxiety. I hadn't had issues with that since I had changed my diet years ago. Started to bruise really easily. Used probiotics too. So I know people in the group that had been bruising easily, they just fixed that with some vitamin C.
Mhm.
The only thing I can think of for panic attacks and the anxiety is maybe more fat. What do you think?
Do you know if you have the MTHFR SNP, the genetic anomaly called MTHFR, which makes it difficult for you to methylate B, the B vitamins, mainly like, the whole B complex. You have to take methylated B vitamins. Did you take folate during your pregnancy? Um, I just read something about postpartum, and I know that it's tied to nutrient. I can't remember what nutrient it is. I'm just making a note right here, and I can look it up. But
She says yes.
oh, that you do have the MTHFR
No,
SNP.
no, no.
Oh,
Uh, okay. So, Lauren, clarify if you're saying yes, you took the vitamins, or yes, you have MTHER. Did I say that right?
MTHFR. Yeah, they call it the MTHFR. It looks like an
The
acronym.
bad word.
Bad
Yeah.
word. So did she say if she does?
Yes, she took the vitamins.
So you took the prenatal vitamins. Okay. So if you don't know if you have that MTHFR, I really feel like Nisha probably has something about postpartum on hers. I know I read about this and it's not on my radar, so I didn't commit it to memory, and I'm sorry. Not much help, are we?
Yeah.
Okay. Panic attacks. Okay, so immediately I'm thinking maybe some magnesium L-threonate, which can help calm. That's good for brain, engaging your brain, and and magnesium glycinate and gluconate is calming. I would take that before bed. Take the L-threonate like 200 milligrams when you wake up in the morning, and take the glycinate and gluconate before you go to bed because it kind of calms you down a little bit. Um, yeah. Okay, they were very high dose, and I stopped taking them, and it feels a lot better. Okay, so it depends on. Here's what I'm thinking. If you have a problem, if you were to have the MTHFR uh, genetic mutation, depending on how many copies you have, if you're taking a prenatal vitamin that has folic acid in it as opposed to folate, your body can't convert that. And the B complex vitamins that are in there, your body can't assimilate those. So you're going to be deficient in those, and that can lead to anxiety. So I need to do a little more research, and maybe I'll drop something in. What I find, I'll send it to Teresa, and you can share it in your group. Okay.
Let's see. Someone asked in another group about resources for Native Americans. Do you have any information on that? Wow. What kind of resources?
Are you like, are you talking about nutrition resources or access for them to get? Yeah. Can you clarify what type of resources? Because things are a little bit different if you're Native Americans and you're on a reservation, like what you have access to versus if you're not. And I know just enough about that to probably.
Hello, Likey and Herb. Which one do we have? Do we have Likey or Herb? Yeah, I don't know where the setting is on that to not have people have to subscribe, but
Here we go.
I still don't know all the ins and outs of YouTube. Let's see. Page balance so much. Google. Yes, Anita. Google might have it. We also do have 2 recipe groups in Mighty Networks. One's keto, one's carnivore, I believe, and you would find those in the menu. Okay, where are we? Here we go. Can you give me a quick overview of dirty keto, basic keto, and hardcore keto? I've heard other people on the chats use those different names, and I don't know the difference. So I know my dad did dirty keto for a while, and I would describe that as, based on what he did, as he would have cheat meals. So he would do keto most of the week, probably Monday through Friday, although he did count net carbs. And so he didn't count total carbs. He counted net carbs. And then on the weekend, he would have an ice cream from Dairy Queen or a meal that he would have had in the SAD diet. And occasionally he would have a rum and Coke. So that was dirty. And I was like, he did lose some weight. And I was like, but you're still, spiking your blood sugar, and that's not helping your insulin resistance. I mean, yeah, you're doing it for 5 days a week, but if you keep eating your sad meals or your ice cream cone and even having your alcoholic beverages, I mean, because that's Coke. Even if you're using Diet Coke, that's Coke. So that was his dirty keto. I guess basic keto would be what? 20 total grams? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, probably 20 total, or maybe you could even do like 20 net would be dirty because, I mean, would be basic, but yeah. And then hardcore, I'm not sure what the difference would be.
Yeah, I don't know. Hardcore keto. Ketovore pops into my brain because, I mean, it's still a form of keto, but you're not cheating at all and you're keeping carbs to an absolute minimum.
And I think the reason why there's even an evolution, like, people start with dirty keto. Dirty keto, I think, also includes any product that has keto in its name, because most of those are dirty
Oh.
and they're not, they've got stuff in there that you shouldn't. But if you're the person that eats, uh, sandwiches 3 times a day and you're doing keto bread, or, and using that as a transition to get off of whatever, that's fine. You can do dirty keto. And then as you get better, as you've done this longer, then you'll realize that when you have some of those things will start to make you not feel good when you have them. So then you'll start to make the connection between, I feel better when I eat cleaner. And then eventually that's what keeps you on the straight and narrow is how you feel. Like you'll notice, you know, swelling or pain in your joints or puffiness under your eyes, and just things that will be unique to you. And then hardcore keto. Yeah, I mean, people talk about uh, humans just have this desire to want to name what it is that they're doing. They want to label it. Um, it's what works for you. So maybe dirty keto works in the beginning, and then you have to get a little more strict, and then you become super strict, and then next thing you know, you're a carnivore, and you're giving Michaela Peterson a run for her money on the lion diet. So I'd worry less about what you're calling it and more about how it's working for you. Because dirty keto may be your thing and you never have to change what you're doing. I don't think that would happen, but let's just say, I think it's what works more so than what we call it.
Right. Betsy says she didn't specify for the Native American resources. I would send them to Facebook groups, Dr. Berry's groups. I'm assuming they have some kind of internet, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I wouldn't know what resources to send them to. Dr. Berry's site, even if they have the means for that. And
some books if they have access to the library.
yeah.
Yeah. Just a typical book, like Liza Doctor told me, I don't know if they would have to request it and wait for a copy to be available or sent to the library. I'm not sure.
I used to supplement with B12. I remember those days.
Your daughter, okay, can be with the vitamins are low. I supplement with methylated B12, methylated folate. My daughter confirmed MTHFR variant. Okay. I don't know. Homocysteine can be home or can be
high
when the vitamins are low. Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Poor Worthy keeps getting ads for keto cookies. That, every time a way of eating comes out, the companies have to jump in and just mess it all up, mess everything up.
Well, it's seen as a money-making opportunity.
Yeah.
And people are they're jumping all aboard. And honestly, there isn't anybody telling them, that explaining exactly what keto is, explaining the purpose behind why you're eliminating some of these foods, why they're not considered ideal and what the overall goal is. Nobody is discussing that. They're just saying, giving them a list, eat this, don't eat this. And it doesn't make any sense to them. A perfect example is I'm in a breast implant illness group, and somebody wrote in and said, wouldn't you know it that my favorite doctor, the one that I like the most, has all these stupid rules about you can't smoke for 6 weeks before the surgery, you can't drink alcohol, and they're actually going to give you a nicotine test before they would allow you to have the surgery. And I just think that's dumb. And so I wrote to her and I said, well, that's so that you're more likely to survive going under anesthesia, because people who have lied about not smoking prior to elective surgeries develop complications and die. So the whole point of this, and I forgot the point, it's like no one explained to her the rationale as to why this is why you do it that way. Like once people explain the rationale behind why something is done that way, it makes more sense and you're more likely to comply or more likely to want to do it, as opposed to just being told, do this, eat this, don't eat this. When you explain why, it makes more sense. It's easier to be compliant. And I think that a lot of people skip over the why part. They think that people don't want to know why. Some people don't want to know why. They just want to know, tell me what to do so I can lose weight. I mean, that's really the bottom line, right? I just want to lose weight, or I want to, get off blood pressure pills or whatever their deal is.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Anita says keto approved foods are still manufactured foods, and that is correct. So to take a page from Dr. Berry, it's less bad. It's just less bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
My dad has issues with bread.
So Bob makes a good point. Dirty keto is like processed, labeled, keto labeled foods, and that clean keto is nutrient dense, real food.
Yep.
Yeah. And then sometimes, I mean, do you think that I'm going to sit here and tell you I've never had a slice of bread that said keto on the bag? I'd be lying. But you know what? It makes me feel bad when I eat it. So I don't recommend it. All it is they've just added more fiber to it so they can artificially lower the carbs. And what you're doing is you're just eating a damn piece of bread that has added fiber. It still spikes your blood sugar. It still makes your gut hurt.
Yeah.
It's bread, people. It's bread. You don't need to eat it.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
No, because that's not common knowledge. They tell people that the plant diet is really, really healthy, but you're eating all of that fiber and it's causing so much inflammation in your stomach and your intestines. It's not even funny. Plus, you have to pass all of that. It's all 100% waste. So it
Mhm.
takes effort, to have to deal with all of that bulk. And then, of course, more time in the bathroom. That's no bueno. I got stuff to do.
Yeah.
But those days are long gone, thank God. I just, you think about it. Well, when I think back about it, how much time I spent eating because I had to eat all the time because I was always hungry. And
Mhm.
then a big chunk of time sitting in the bathroom because I had to get rid of it all because none of it was food.
Yeah. And we can't, we can't digest the fiber.
No.
And for people to still say that you need fiber in order to be healthy, they're so behind the science.
Yeah.
If
And Anita's right. They have to make money somehow.
Yeah,
And I
so
think that's what's coming next. I think these major cereal corporations are going to come out with a keto version because they're going to discover that they can't get people away from keto and nobody's eating their cereal anymore because it's not keto. So I see keto brands coming out soon.
well, I think that people are not eating their cereal also because they're waking up to the fact that it's just not it's it's a toxic way to start your day.
Yeah.
Two bowls of glyphosate covered sugar in skim milk is not a way to start your day, and you will be
No.
hungry all day long. It spikes your blood sugar, and then you just want to keep eating, and yeah, not good.
So
And
this is a great way to start your day. Eating eggs and meat.
Mhm.
Yes. Yes.
And you know, Lauren, you make a good point about the dairy. So I think when you're transitioning, at least for me, when I decided to go a little more carnivore heavy, par some of the things that I did was I would put cheese, like a lot of cheese on my meat, or, every burger had to have a slice of cheese on it, and, or I would shred the meat and add cheese to it or whatever. But then after a while, the cheese, like, I know how I feel if I've got my cheese threshold. If I've had too much cheese, it starts with the stuffy nose, the itchy eye, um, and the dairy. Did you get the breakouts here? Like when he used to be big on the dairy, I would break out all along here, all along here. It would be this
These are
adult,
your hormone spots.
yeah, and I'd get the breakouts there, and it would be awful, just awful. So I've backed off on the dairy. Dairy's like a garnish for me now, you know,
Yeah.
like it's just a add-on. Um,
When I'm clearing my throat a lot on lives, you know I've had cheese.
mhm. I haven't had any cheese today. Or goat cheese doesn't have that effect though.
I
It's very
haven't tried it. I haven't seen it. I'd like to try it.
keto cookies, 100% beef burger. Yeah.
Yep. There you go.
Okay.
Yep, you're absolutely right, Worthy. It's nothing but crap. You
Yeah.
can't use it. It goes in one hole and out the other. It's useless.
Mhm. Yeah, and Dr. Paul Mason has an excellent video on fiber. Not only does he deliver, he's a great speaker, but he's funny and he backs it up with the science and it's right there in your face. He shares it on the slides and you're like, "Oh my gosh." I send that to anybody who tells me that you need to have fiber and that fiber for gut for your, colon health, and I'm like, "No.
No.
Nope, you don't."
In fact, my colon feels better on just meat and fat.
Mhm. Yeah.
I'm recovering diabetic and seem to notice beef has the lowest reading after eating. No, that is not your imagination, Tim.
Mhm. Yeah.
We all love dairy so, so much, but it's no bueno.
Yeah.
I do believe this is right. You would know better, probably, the science on this, Mitzi.
Yeah.
Casomorphines.
Yes, yes, it does get your brain hooked on that, and, milk all milk contains casomorphines, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing for your baby to want to get kinda high and addicted to your breast milk because it's gonna be more inclined to eat. I mean, and that's also why, not to go kind of off on a weird tangent, but it's also not a awful experience for a mother to breastfeed. I mean, there's benefits for her too. So there's this benefit. This baby is craving your breast milk, and you're like, okay, yeah, it's time to feed you again. Okay, well, come on. So it just increases your survival, the survival of the baby, and it's good for the mother. But you are correct. It can be addicting, and we think we need it. But after a while, you just realize it doesn't matter how good it tastes while you're eating it. The after effect is like, no. When you get the stuffy nose and the itchy eye, like I can tell when I've had something, my, oh, that it's, yeah, it's not worth it after a while.
Right? Bob's doing N equal 1 challenges. I have to agree with this too. I think I had more energy and clarity.
Mhm.
And also, when I have cheese, my joints pop when I walk down the stairs.
Mhm. Mm, yeah. Yep.
Hi. We have a question. Do food allergies always present as anaphylactic shock? Can it be massive, violent vomiting? Haven't eaten seafood in forever, but can now eat shrimp, lobster. Could it be allergy or just intolerance? Well, when it comes to allergies, there is an entire spectrum, and it starts off with maybe you're just a little sensitive to intolerant to outright allergy and everything in between those. So, no two people are going to experience the same symptoms. They're going to fall somewhere on the spectrum based on their individuality. And so, yeah, while some person could probably get maybe itchy skin, another person is going to violently vomit. Um, so, what do you got?
Okay, so I agree with you about the spectrum from, itchy skin all the way to anaphylaxis. There is
Yeah.
that spectrum. A true allergy, the definition of allergy, like you are allergic to an amino acid in a protein. That is what you're having an allergic reaction to. You can't have an allergy to iodine. Okay, but there are doctors who will tell you, "Oh, you're allergic to betadine. You have an iodine allergy." No, there's no amino acid in iodine. Sorry, that is not. I have a sensitivity. I'm having a reaction. So the thing about the vomiting, that would, yeah, you could vomit something that's not agreeing with you. I think that's your body's way of saying, "I want to get this thing out as quickly as possible." So if somehow you've eaten something that is not agreeing with you and it gets past the stomach, once it gets past the stomach, then your body's only defense is to get it out the other way quickly. So then you're in the bathroom exploding that way. So, if you catch it early enough, you're going to vomit it out. If it gets past the stomach somehow, then it's got to make that quick exit that way. And as far as seafood and those sensitivities, I've heard anecdotally, there's no science. I can't point to any science, but people would say, I used to not be able to eat fill in the blank. I reintroduced after going keto or low carb or proper human diet, and now I can eat it. I can tolerate it. Same thing with eggs. I developed a sensitivity to eggs. Like eggs just did not appeal. So I stopped eating eggs for a while. And then I reintroduced and they're fine. I did the farm eggs and then first store eggs, no way. Then I did the free range, and that was better. Duck eggs, no problem with duck eggs. Now I can eat the 99-cent a dozen eggs. Not ideal, but in a pinch, and I don't have the issues with it anymore. So odds are it's not the mass produced egg that has changed. They haven't improved that. It's me and it's my terrain that's improved. So I do believe that you I don't know that you ever. That's interesting. I don't know if you can reverse an allergy. That's interesting. So I think you can get over an intolerance for sure, but I don't know that you can ever reverse an allergy. So maybe you just had a sensitivity to it. So food allergies don't always present as anaphylaxis, because if it did, there'd be a lot of dead people.
All right.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, nobody's touching Paul's dairy in his coffee. You enjoy it as long as it's good to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Bob has a question. With the eggs, could it have been the whites and not the yolks? I'm
Mm-hmm.
non-reactive to eggs of any sort, but I've heard that the whites can be problematic. Yes, whites are problematic for me.
Yeah.
Right now, before I couldn't have any, now I can have 3. 3 is my max. If I eat 4 whole eggs, I will start to have issues.
Yeah. It's most likely the whites. And, if you want to do what Dr. Berry says, keep the white of, if you're going to have more than one egg, keep the white of 1 or 2 eggs and then just put the yolk of the other 2 or 3 or whatever you're going to have and just go with that. But yeah, it's more likely the egg white that people have problem with than the egg yolk for sure.
Yeah, I could eat a dozen yolks and I'll be perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm.
And we are at the end of the chat, so if you guys can think of anything else, we're here for another, 10 more minutes?
Ooh, look at what Bob has. 6 egg yolks with a pound of ground beef. I bet
Nice.
that's really. Now, do you put the yolks in there and they're still, I'm assuming that they're runny and yellow and that kind of becomes sort of like your gravy or your sauce on the ground beef? Or do you add the yolks and then cook the ground beef and like cook it all together? I don't know. I would be interested to try that. So maybe I should try that.
My husband does that. He cooks it with the meat. But I just like runny yolks. So I'll put a big heaping spoonful of grease in a pan, put it on low heat, and then just cook the yolks. And as long as you have enough grease, you can easily flip the yolk. Make sure it's nice and warm, and then easily get them out without them sticking. And
there's something psychological about, I just want to warm it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Just want to warm
It's
it up.
good.
Yeah. Yeah. It is good. Yeah. Mm,
He cooks the ground beef and then the rest of the yolks on top when they are a bit runny still.
yeah. Okay. Nice. It makes
But
like
yeah,
a
yolks is gravy. Sounds good. My daughter does that. She dips her bites of steak in the yolks.
yeah, one of the hardest things, um, when I decided to do, like, paleo, which, gave up bread for paleo, was I didn't know how I was gonna soak up the yellow, the yolk of my egg, right? So I just
Right.
started using bacon, just take a piece of bacon and slide it around the plate and just get it all covered with yolk and eat it. But now I just, you know, I don't miss the bread anymore, but that was a hard one for me.
Right. You want this one?
Okay, mama. Ketovore and carnivore. Ketovore is just you're still eating keto, but it's mostly meat heavy keto. You're still having a vegetable here and there, and carnivore is meat, or animal based foods only, mostly meat. And
Yeah, I think Nisha, less than 10 grams of carbs a day?
on ketovore, yeah,
Yeah,
probably.
is that shit
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's more meat heavy. So, like I had steak the other night and then put a handful of leafy greens in a bowl. And really, that's just a vehicle for some really good extra virgin olive oil and balsamic vinegar. I mean, it's just a vehicle for primal, uh, what do you call it? Salad dressing is to throw
Right.
the leafy greens in there. And so if you were to chop up the leafy greens, which I take the scissors, like the salad scissors, and chop it up, and it ends up being like a quarter of a cup. Like you could smush it into a quarter of a cup, but if you don't chop it up, it feels like a whole bowl. It's like cooking spinach. You got a whole bowl, and then it cooks down to a quarter of a cup, which spinach, oh Lord. I used to eat that stuff every day until I found out the oxalates and just how it's not our friend.
No.
Mitzi, I've been known to lick my plate. Oh yeah, I've done that too, Anita. But yeah, I do that. I mean, or I do this.
Yeah.
If I'm at home, I will do that too. But yeah.
I've got some signs of anemia. My labs during pregnancy showed low
Hematocrit and hemo.
yeah. Yes, you will. I was low on iron, obviously, coming from the plant diet. So I did everything that I could. Like I used cast iron to cook my red meat. So everything, if I could boost it in some way, um, that's what I did. I didn't want to take a pill because it causes constipation and
Mhm.
it's not good for me anyway, but I think I'm better.
Mm. All right.
Yes. What was this for? I was laughing at this one. Yes. I make a face when people talk about leafy greens because it still triggers me.
Yeah.
I'm hoping I get over it soon. But then
Mhm.
again, I don't know. There's a reminder every time I smile what the plant diet did to me. So
Oh,
until I get my teeth fixed.
oh no.
Yeah, I lost 3 teeth.
Wow.
Yeah. They just crumbled, they shattered.
Oh my.
And actually, if you want to be technical about it, I lost 3.5 teeth. I have a half a tooth right here. It's hiding. But it's just there. And I went carnivore. And I tell you what, that half a tooth is strong because this is where I chew my ribeyes. And it's not going anywhere. But I guarantee you, if I was still plant-based, that would be gone by now.
Well, I had a cavity remineralize in my tooth. So I go to the dentist and, I only go to the dentist because the dental is included in I go to the dentist for cleaning and it's included in my insurance. So it was a very generous policy. So I would go and they said, you have this one tooth that still needs a little bit of work. And I was doing, this was back when I was in school studying to become a nutritional therapist. And we had talked about remineralizing teeth and that it was a possibility. And I said, I'm just going to hold off. I said, I'm not ready to do it. So I made some excuse like, no, I'm not ready to have that procedure. And then I go back and they're still asking me about it. And then I go back and they're not asking about it. And I said, hey, so what about that cavity that I have on the whatever tooth it was? And they look and they go, oh, there's no cavity there.
Nice.
And I said, interesting. So, yeah. Wow.
Yes, excellent idea, Lauren. Use your cast iron.
Yep.
And she wants to know if mushrooms are okay. My answer is no, but that's personal. So maybe Mitzi might say, yeah, sure, knock yourself out.
So what do you have against a nice little fun guy?
It's a plant.
Yeah. Well, actually, it's weird. It kind of falls into a different group. It's more of a plant than an animal. However, there are some mushrooms some mushrooms have medicinal value. Others are just great for taste. I think it's a personal tolerance. I have one mushroom like this big, a baby Bella, chopped up in my egg every morning. One. Like I'm not eating an entire bowl sauteed like from the steak house. I have one chopped up and then fried up. So I think the dose makes the poison necessarily. And, depends on how if you like mushrooms. But mushrooms are not, just as Ken and Nisha will tell you, they're not carnivore, but they have them with their steaks sometimes. So,
Yeah.
And I do think that they're okay. Just make sure that you're not harvesting them from your yard. And if you are, that whoever told you how to, be a hunter gatherer in your front yard, that you trust that the mushroom that you have is safe to eat. So,
Right.
That's it.
Does Dr. Berry have a video talking about not eating leafy greens? I want to learn more. Okay, so when I cringe at greens or the thought of eating any plants, that's just me. I was on a 100% plant diet. You can have vegetables. I would avoid the high oxalate ones, but if there's, low carb, low oxalate vegetables, you're free to eat those. He does not condemn vegetables. You can be keto and still have those.
Mm-hmm. And the leafy greens, I recommend like the baby leafy greens as opposed to the bigger, because there's less offending ingredients in the baby version than in the full adult version of these greens. So I stick with the baby version or romaine lettuce, or romaine is okay. But it's a personal preference and how your body responds to it. But I can tell you that when I have a salad, there's one restaurant I go to, it makes the best Cobb salad ever, and I absolutely love it. And a Cobb salad is completely keto. It's got you can take your own dressing and it's a 100% keto compliant, but I notice it right away. I'm having all the rumblings, all the activity of why did you put all of this fiber in my gut kind of revolt. So many times I will just eat all the good stuff out of the salad and just a little bit of the greenery, just enough so I can justify having some dressing on it.
And also if you cook them, they're less irritating.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, let's see. We have a how do you mineralize teeth? A question.
Okay, mine just remineralized because I was eating a nutrient-dense diet. Now, there are some people who will swear by oil pulling, which is taking coconut oil, and you scoop up a teaspoon of or a tablespoon of coconut oil, and you let it melt in your mouth, and you honestly, you're just doing this
Like mouthwash.
mouthwash for this is the thing about oil pulling. You've got to do it for like 15 to 20 minutes. So if
Mm-hmm.
you're going to oil pull, you put that thing in your mouth, you put the tablespoon in your mouth and melt it and do this while you're doing other things, like you're in the shower. You're doing something else than standing there for 15 or 20 minutes while you're doing that. And then, of course, you have to spit it in the trash. You can't spit it in the shower. You can't spit it in the sink. You've got to spit that in the trash because it will solidify at room temperature and block your plumbing. So you need to spit it out and throw it in the trash. Now, I've had fellow nutritional therapists who swear by that was what remineralized their teeth. Well, I did an oil pull and mine remineralized. So, I'm an N equals 1. I don't know that you have to oil pull, but I'm not against it. And for a while, I used a coconut-based toothpaste, but you have to spit it in the trash. Do not spit it down your plumbing. You will make your plumber very happy when he has to come fix your plumbing because you blocked it up.
Right. Lauren, I personally do not recommend. It is atrocious how they store
Mm, no,
peanuts. Not to mention they're because they're in their little shells and they grow underground. They have mold on them, and then they get more mold in the storage. And if you get regular peanut butter, they usually mix it with seed oils. It's horrible. Even if you get an organic peanut butter that doesn't include added seed oils, peanuts on their own are seeds. So that's technically eating a seed oil.
yeah. So what you're talking about are the mycotoxins, which are very toxic. So you just look that up. I agree with everything that you said. Peanuts used to be called goober peas. Okay, they were called goober peas because they're a legume, just like a pea, and they grow under the ground. Oh, now a pea grows above the ground, but a peanut grows below the ground. They used to be called goober peas. Well, nobody wanted to buy no goober peas. No, it was just not very marketable. So a bunch of highly paid, probably fat-bellied white men got in a room and said, "Well, why don't we call them peanuts? We'll remarket them Planters peanuts." And they gave him a monocle and a top hat and gloves and a little cane and made these goober peas all sophisticated. And then voila, now you have a peanut and this is great. And it's served at all cocktail parties. But they are stored. They do not treat them for any of the crap that's growing on them before they process them. And it just gets processed into your peanut butter and it is awful. Now, having said that, how about, like what if you get your own peanuts, shell your own peanuts, mix up your own peanuts, and make your own peanut butter? That's probably okay. Maybe. And it's a big maybe. I just think that peanuts really don't play a role in a ketogenic diet, although many people get by with eating peanut butter. And in a pinch, if I had to choose, like if I'm trying to find something to eat, and I had a choice between having a McDonald's deep fried apple pie, poison bomb, or one of those, um, what's it called? Those little, they're made from peanut butter or sometimes peanut butter, sometimes almonds. They're like the perfect bar or I don't know. You buy them in the refrigerated section. It would be less bad. It's not optimal. I could never get all behind peanut butter and say, yeah, this is great. And eat all the other nut butters like almond butter and hazelnut butter, all of that. All you do is number one, you're concentrating the carbs, you're concentrating the nutrition. It's very easy to overeat it in the, when it's in the butter form. It's just best to avoid. Eventually you'll give up all nuts, or at least well, I can't speak for everyone. Nuts just don't play a role in my life anymore. They're not important. I don't do nuts anymore because they can be problematic, very problematic. And the ones that taste the best are the worst, like pistachios, almonds, cashews,
MM asks about spring greens. Oh, where is it? Now I've lost my place. Yeah, the spring greens are fine. Just make sure that there it is. That what's in the spring mix isn't either high in oxalates or anything like that. Especially if you're prone to kidney stones. I've had oxalates come out of my skin. I found them. It's not fun. Luckily, that's going down. And Betsy makes a good point. Watch out for the carb creep.
Yep.
Anita asks, what does oil pulling do for teeth? As far as I know, it removes the toxins out of your mouth. Those bacteria are what make the cavities. And if you eat lots of sugary stuff, you're feeding that bacteria and they multiply, and then you'll soon have a lot of tooth decay.
So I feel there's less of a need for somebody who's on a proper human diet to consider oil pulling, but oil pulling for somebody who is doing a standard American diet or like a paleo diet, and make no mistake, you can be following 100% paleo and still be eating a lot of carbs and sugar. And oil pulling can be beneficial for that. But I don't think really any of us need to, but you can do it if you want. And plus, coconut is antiviral, antimicrobial, antibacterial, and it also whitens your teeth too. It can help whiten and remove stains. So it's multi-purpose, but it is 15 minutes at a time is a long time to have to be, doing that.
Right. So Tamara asks, are there any electrolyte powders available without citric acid? The brand we have causes my son significant burping. I think so.
Element, I don't think has citric acid in it, does it?
I don't know, but let me check my relay.
Yeah. Okay. So you're checking your relight. I'll check I took it downstairs. Oh no, you're checking the relight. I've got the element. Okay.
My son's flavored relight.
Oh my goodness. It's citric acid is the first ingredient after salt on this.
Which one is that? Oh, element. Okay. Hold on. They've made it like microscopic, so I have to get my old lady lens out. Oh,
now
okay.
I just talked about element and I just got an email from them. That's so weird. It just popped up on my phone.
So the flavored relight has citric acid, and my unflavored does not.
Okay, so maybe unflavored is your best bet there.
Yeah, have the unflavored.
Wow. Okay.
Let me check the Keto K1000. Unflavored Keto K1000 does not.
And what does that look like? Okay.
Keto K1000. This stuff has 1,000 milligrams of potassium,
Oh,
whereas the Relight has 1,000 milligrams of sodium. So I mix them to get more of a balance, especially when I'm fasting. I notice that if I eat meat, I'm fine. But on days that I'm fasting or during the times that I'm fasting, I think I need a little bit more potassium.
and what was the name of that other one? Keto
K1000.
K1000. Okay.
Yeah.
I think I've tried
My
them for
camera's
something else.
backwards.
Okay. I learned something today. Thanks for asking that question, Tamara.
Yes. Okay, where we are. Pecans. I think they're okay.
Yeah, they're okay. So here's what you need to think about as far as nuts go. We have the luxury of going to the store and buying a huge bag of nuts that have already been shelled, and that we could eat a pound of nuts in one sitting
Mhm.
if we could. But if we were a true hunter gatherer in our ancestrally appropriate scenario, if we found a pecan tree, we'd have to gather up the nuts, get a rock, crack it open, pick through, eat the meat, and keep doing the work to get that. And we wouldn't be eating a pound at a time.
No.
And we'd probably be picking up those nuts and sticking them in a bag, and gathering them for days when we couldn't get a kill. So we knew that we would have some food because it transports and it's easy to take from one place to another. So that's the scenario in which humans ate nuts. Same thing with walnuts or anything else. You had to do the work to gather them, then you'd have to crack them open, then you'd have to, pick it out and eat it. There's a lot of work involved. Same thing with crabs. When you go into the restaurant and you buy the bushel of crabs or not the bushel, the dozen of crabs it comes, it takes you a long time to process those crabs, or you can go buy that big tin where the work has already been done, and it's very easy to overeat, overindulge. So just keep that in mind when you're having the nuts. You got to dole them out. We never ate a pound of nuts at one time ever in our ancestral history.
Right.
Honey.
I say absolutely not.
Yeah. Honey is no. But here's why honey, there is a place in which honey could be appropriate, but this scenario will never apply to us. Okay, here is when it's appropriate. You are a hunter-gatherer. You live in this particular latitude where you have a definite demarcation of seasons. Okay, it is let's say it's October, and you find a big honey, like a honey tree, and you climb up the honey tree, and it's October, and you're gorging yourself on honey. And all that's going to do, it's going to totally spike your blood sugar. You're going to store all of that honey as fat. And what you're going to do is you're going to risk getting stung by those bees. And you're going to try to grab as much honey as you can. And you're going to yell for your buddies and your neighbors to come. And you're going to be dropping down chunks of honey. And they're all going to be eating it. And they're going to be eating the honey, the comb, everything. You're going to sit in this honey coma until you get over that blood sugar spike, and then notice like your little belly growing, the belly fat, because you've just bought yourself like 30 days of no food through the winter. So that's when eating and gorging on honey is appropriate. And that doesn't apply to any of us. So now honey does have some proven medicinal value for like wound healing and things like that, and for some other things, but it's a slippery slope. It's technically an animal product. And I guess what's his name? Paul Saladino, he's gone off the deep end on the honey thing. But I don't think that there's a, well, it's not. I think it's going to trigger people to want more sweet things.
Yeah.
And
Which brings us to our what fruits are okay. I say none, especially if you're trying to metabolically heal and
mhm.
become insulin sensitive again. Fruit is not your friend. Not to mention, you have glycation to think about and what that really does to your skin. It ages you very quickly. Um, the only time fruit would have been eaten would be in the fall time by our ancestors to fatten up before the winter when food was a little more scarce. Um, Food is not scarce here. We have no reason to fatten up. And if you're trying to gain weight on carnivore, I would rather you do it with cheese and not fruit.
Yeah, and so you'll notice that there's 2 times in which fruits are available. It's in the fall, which is to fatten you up before the winter, and then again, the fruits come out in the spring, right? And that's the perfect time to gorge on the berries and things like that to replenish the fat stores that you used up over the winter, right? So isn't it amazing how nature seems to give us, like, the world, the earth is almost smarter than we are. Humans think they're so freaking smart. We are so ignorant. We think that we can outsmart Mother Nature. So here's the thing about fruits. If you're going to have a fruit, a berry, and I'm going to define a berry, a blueberry, a raspberry, a blackberry. Are there any others? A
Strawberry?
boysenberry, a boysenberry,
Oh,
what,
boysenberry.
you know, and berries are seasonal. So in the spring, eat a berry. Because eat seasonally. Now, because you can go to the grocery store and have a berry in the middle of February is just wrong. It's wrong because your body in February, remember, we're still hunter gatherers. Your genetics and your DNA is still operating on, oh, this is winter. This is time of fasting. Not this is not time of gorging. And so what do we do all winter long? We start with what? The candy holiday, the pie holiday, the cookie and cake, holiday, followed by the boozer holiday, followed by Valentine's Day. We're always feasting when normally genetically it would not be a time of feast. Feasting is in the fall, like before you go into winter kind of thing, and not through the winter. So keep in mind, that with fruits. Now that I'm giving you the textbook 100% ketogenic certified proper human diet answer. You're going to have to figure out how fruit fits into your, how it works for you and how it fits into your personal journey.
Yeah. And try and keep in mind that the fruits that we eat today, those weren't the fruits that our ancestors grew up on. Bananas used to be like this big, and the seeds inside of the bananas were so big that there wasn't a lot of meat
Yeah.
in the banana. And then now we have bananas that grow this big, and there's no seeds, and they were bred to be sweeter.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, that's not the same thing.
Yeah, the same thing with the berries as well. So, like, if you've ever gone out and you see the wild berries that are growing, like when you see the wild blackberries, these little blackberries will have 2 or 3 little berries on them, and that's the wild ones that grow low to the ground, not the big bushes, not the ones that we've interbred so that they are this big and have like 50 little berries on them, 50 to 100 of the little berries. So they're bigger and sweeter. And, because humans are really ingenious. We have this ingenuity where we're able to figure out, broccoli is a made up vegetable. Broccoli does not exist. Broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, they're all made up. We bred them selectively from grasses, okay, to get these vegetables that are delicious. I love them. I had Brussels sprouts when we had the steak. Remember, I had Brussels sprouts. And I'm not a zealot when it comes to vegetables, but you have to keep in mind that these were created through our ingenuity and they were not something that ever existed in nature. And when you introduce something that never really existed before, it's foreign to your body. It's not something that your body knows. Like high fructose corn syrup, seed oils. Your body doesn't know how to process that stuff, especially the fructose and high fructose corn syrup. It's just you just have to be careful.
Yeah, pretty much. Mutant food. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Let's see. We'll take one more, and then I have to get out of here before my son revolts.
Okay.
How does a lack of sleep affect your metabolism and mood? I'm up most nights with my son. I don't know. I think it's individual to everybody. I know my oldest daughter, when she doesn't get enough sleep, she gets a little grumpy. My other daughter, she doesn't get enough sleep. She gets a little emotional. My husband gets a short fuse. So,
And ways that lack of sleep can affect your metabolism. If you are, I think that lack of sleep puts you in a heightened state of, I think it increases your cortisol,
yep.
which can increase your appetite. And they've done studies of people that work, like nurses that do rotating shifts, and they've done food, like very strict food intake, not the food frequency questionnaires. We're talking about very strict food intake diaries. When the nurses are doing the night shift, they consume more food than when they're not doing the night shift, because on the night shift, that's lack of sleep. And you could say, oh, but they sleep during the day. But yeah, that's not their normal sleep cycle. I mean, that we're not designed to sleep during the day. We are designed to sleep at night. And they've also done studies on people who don't work the permanent night shift. They have an increased risk for all-cause mortality if you work on the increased night shift. And I think Dr. Berry has said in his videos, if you are, he sympathizes with people that are on the night shift, which basically, if you've got a new baby, you are on the night shift. Welcome to the night shift, lady. Okay. But that's not going to last forever. That's not going to last forever. You will get off that. That will, you will get your sleep back, and that won't always be that way. But just be aware of it. Watch your food intake and your cravings, and, things like, if your hunger, like maybe keep a journal and write it down. And then there was something else I was going to say about another thing. Many times you will mistake being dehydrated for being hungry. So make sure that you are properly hydrated. Drink all the time when you are, as much as you can while you're breastfeeding. Andrew Huberman's sleep video. I love Andrew Huberman. I think he's great. But I haven't seen his video, so maybe I'll put that on there and watch it. All right.
Well, thank you guys for hanging out with us. I don't think we missed anybody's question. If we did, I am so sorry. You can post it in the chat or the community, and I will try to answer it for you. But thanks for coming, and I'm gonna go make me and my son something to eat because it's
Yeah,
time to eat.
yeah. I think I'm going to go play with my granddaughter. It's
Oh,
time.
lucky.
It's time to
I
play with.
can't play with mine yet.
Yeah.
She's
Okay.
still growing.
All right. I guess we are done.
Yeah, you guys have a great afternoon, and we will see you next